Com check. Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to the first of what's hopefully going to be many Airman Dan's Learning Library. This is brought to you by Interplanetary Explorations as part of this Wild Wild West expedition. And got a couple questions in the Discord over the last couple days from folks new to deep space exploration and expeditions in general. And first off, I'd like to say welcome aboard to all those folks. We're really glad to have you here, and this is going to be a really exciting and fun exploration, and looking forward to enjoying some time far away from civilization. So I thought I'd put together a little stream here that goes over some deep space exploration basics, and that will hopefully be useful to folks in making sure that they stay safe out there in the black and find all those juicy exploration items for you. So the first thing that we're going to do while we're parked here on the Omega Concern, as it idles for a couple more hours before resuming course to Colonia, is have a look at the galaxy map. Now, I'm using the PS4 controller, and so if I mention control inputs, I'm going to be specifying them towards the DualShock 4 controller, but they're going to be very similar for Xbox players, and then for PC players, of course, you have the full keyboard and mouse interface available. So, without further ado, accessing the galaxy map from the left-hand panel here brings up our wonderful galaxy map, and this shows us where we currently are, of course, and we'll kind of go through this in the way that an explorer would look at it today, so that you can use this to find things that interest you, find your way home, and make sure you don't run out of gas. And running out of gas is, of course, very bad, because that either leaves you stranded, needing to self-destruct to get home, which means you lose all your exploration data, or somebody has to come and get you with fuel limpets. And since we'll be upwards of 45,000 light years away from civilization, that can take quite some time indeed. So the first thing I'd like to go over real quick is the galaxy star filters. So if we go over here to the fourth tab and set the map to map mode, one of the things we can do is set a filter. And so we'll scroll down to Star Class, and the 7 scoopable star types are what's known as KGB foam. And those are the star classes that you can scoop from. And what those are, that's KGB, F, O, A, and M stars. There's all sorts of different acronyms out there and mnemonics that you can use to remember them. One that I happen to like is the phrase, "Fill my big old kettle and go." Those are the stars that if you have a fuel scoop on board, and you should, will allow you to scoop fuel and prevent yourself from being stranded out in the black. So filtering is really easy. You just check off the boxes here in the filter list for the stars that you want to see in the galaxy map, and the other ones will simply disappear. So we'll leave the KGB foam stars selected, which conveniently are right here at the top, and we can turn off everything else. And as you'll see in the map, things start to kind of poof out of existence as I do that. And so the map, now, any star that you see illuminated here with an indicator is a scoopable star. So we're in a pretty dense area of space, so pretty much everything is scoopable around here. But as we travel through the expedition, we will find that there are some regions filled with brown dwarfs and white dwarfs and other non-scoopable stars, such as Wolf Rayet. And those we will want to make sure that you have the ability to scoop. So as part of that, what's important if you're plotting a course is to make sure that the filter is applied to your route. Because right now, even though I have in the map all of these stars selected, the actual route plotter isn't listening to that. So if I go and plot a course here to, say, Rohini, which is a station on the Colonia Connection Highway, if I were to just plot this really quick, it wouldn't be guaranteed that I get all scoopable stars. So what you can do to make sure that you do get all scoopable stars is apply this filter here to your route. And that's this checkbox that's hiding here at the very bottom. So if you check this, you can hear now the game replotting the route, and there we go. We are now plotted using scoopable stars only, and you can see that the route actually changed. I had a neutron star in there, which we'll discuss shortly, which is no longer included in the route. So this route is now guaranteed to be scoopable the whole way, which is great. So the route, as you can see here, has a dashed line. And what I'm going to need to do to illustrate what that means is go back to where we are right now, here kind of out in the middle of nowhere. We'll zoom back in, and you can see now it's a solid line. So the solid line means that I have enough fuel on board my ship to get from this star to the next one, and that the ship can make it there without a problem. So you see I have got a solid line for a couple jumps here. I'm in my Diamond Black Explorer. And then what you'll see on the map right here with this icon and this label is Fuel Star. This is the last star on the route that I just plotted that I can scoop gas from without running out. And you can see that after this star, the line has changed to dashed line, which means that I can't make it this jump if I don't stop and scoop gas at some point. So it's important to pay attention to that, to make sure that you are scooping, because especially if you're going through an area that's not as dense as this, filled with white or brown dwarfs or T-Tauri stars, it's very possible that you could wind up somewhere that you've gone past a scoopable star and still had enough gas to get to the next one, but the next one's not scoopable, and now you're kind of stuck because you can't go anywhere. The game will also warn you when you arrive in a system like this, in the top right status panel, that the star is the last scoopable star en route. So that's one final way to make sure that you don't run out of gas. There are, of course, a whole bunch of other star types, though, that are out there to be explored in the game. We've basically taken off half of them from the list here. And I'll quickly go through what's interesting here, what's boring, and what's worth looking at. So L, T, and Y type stars are basically cool stars, and I use that word cool in the terms of temperature. They are cold stars, basically small stars, not scoopable, and they tend not to have really a whole lot of interesting things in their systems. A lot of people just leave these off permanently. I'm going to go ahead and turn everything back on just so that we can repopulate the galaxy, and you can see here one of these stars just popped back on. So this is a class Y, it's a brown dwarf, and when I had that filter off a second ago, you can see it disappears from the map. Probably nothing there. That was just a random thing that popped up. Protostars are stars early in their life. Those can be fun to visit just for codex discoveries, but again, not scoopable. I'm not seeing any of those around here. One thing you can do if you're looking for a particular type of star is just turn that one on and turn everything else off. So if we were trying to find a protostar, we could turn everything off and see if there are any around here, which there are not. Which is not surprising. They're relatively rare. So we'll go ahead and turn things back on. The other filters, carbon stars, tend to be giants, which can be interesting for codex discoveries and make great pictures if they happen to have planets in close orbit. So if you're looking to make some cool photos for the expedition, carbon stars are a good place to get those. Wolf-Rayet stars are very rare, and those are, especially if you get your name on them by being the first to discover, are worth finding, and I doubt there's any around here as well. White dwarfs, you've probably seen those in the bubble. Those are often confused with neutron stars. White dwarfs are the more dangerous of the two boostable star types. They tend to have very large exclusion zones, and they don't give you a large FSD boost. And we'll cover the topic of FSD boosting later on in the stream here. We'll turn those back on here. And then non-sequence stars are going to be neutron stars and black holes. We'll turn that back on as well. You can see that blue line here, that very long blue line. That's one jump, and that's actually a neutron jump right here. So if I pull up the information on this star, we'll see it's a neutron star, and in the ship I'm in, I'll probably be able to jump about 200 light years all at once by boosting off of this star. So I will demonstrate that process later on in the stream, because that's very useful as we are deep in the black for getting great distances in short amounts of time. For instance, if you're like one of our other expedition members and get off the carrier and then the carrier moves on you, these can be useful for getting back on the carrier quickly. They can also be useful if you're choosing to fly between the waypoints by hand instead of taking the carrier along. So these are neutron stars, and I happen to know, based on conversations with some of the other exploration members, or expedition members rather, that there is in fact a black hole near the carrier here. And so I'm going to actually try to find that, not knowing where it is. So you can see the process that I use for finding that kind of thing, and see if that's helpful for you. I don't know if I'll be able to or not. I know it's roughly 300 light years away, so we'll see if I can find it. I do have the system name that was sent to me, so if I can't find it, I'll just look it up, and we'll go there so we can have a look at black holes. But we'll get to that later on in the stream. The other thing that we can do here while we're in this map view is take a look at the realistic map view. Now this one you can't filter, but this does show you all of the stars that are around you in a realistic manner. So they show you basically you'll see the different colors of the stars, and you'll kind of grow to learn what each color star is going to be. So you can see there's a couple blue stars here in the list. Like this one right here is probably going to be a B-type star, if I can get over it. And let's see if I'm right. And it is. It's a B-type star. It's actually got multiple things in this system, a B-type, an F-type, and T Tauri stars as well. And as you use realistic mode, you'll start to kind of learn just what each color represents, especially if you're like me and you have a preference for specific stars. I happen to like blue stars. I think they're pretty, and I like the pictures I get from them. So I tend to pick out these blue stars when I see them in the galaxy map. You'll see some whiter stars over here. This might be an F or a G type. Yep, it's an F type. Again, multiple things in the system here. And we probably got maybe an M type over here. Yep, there we go. And if you're wondering where I'm identifying these types, by the way, if you look in the left-hand column there, where it says star type, you see M4VA. So it means it's an M-type star, and it's got luminosity, and one of the other things, I can never quite remember them. I always have to look up on Wikipedia, but V is actually 5. It's Roman numerals used there. And A indicates either the luminosity or the heat or something like that. And you'll see, if we go over, this might be an A type. Yep, so this one's an A8, 5-8. And what all these mean, after the A, the 8 there indicates the temperature. So 0 is hot, and 9 is less hot. I'm not going to say it's cool. I mean, it's a star. It's nuclear fusion. It's pretty hot. But where that becomes relevant is if you're fuel scooping. So if you're fuel scooping around a hot star, your chances of overheating increase. So just bear that in mind. And then 5B actually after that is the luminosity. So this is 5 is right down the middle. It's a relatively medium star. Of lower than average heat. Let's see what else we can find that just might be an example. Here might be a G type. Yep. So here we have a G type, G7, so it's a little on the cooler side. 5AB, so it's going to be a relatively bright star. And what these numbers are useful for, and these numbers and letters are useful for, are finding, if you're interested in finding giants and supergiant stars, they are always going to be of a certain type and luminosity. Well, not type and luminosity. You have just luminosity. You have any A, B, K, G, M stars can all be giants, and some of those can be supergiants. And the way you tell is the number after the Roman number. So if that was, instead of a 5, that was a Roman numeral 3, we'd be looking at a giant. If it was a 2, it might be a supergiant, and if it was a 1, so if it said IAB, 1AB, it would be a supergiant. Now, I did look before going live with the stream. I didn't see any giants around here, but I did actually go and locate one. Let's see if I can find it again. I stuck a bookmark on it. Yeah, it was in that line of stars. I think it was the last one. Just as an example, because one of the ways you can also find giants instead of just randomly hoping you get a large number is they actually kind of look a little bit different on the star map. They tend to look a little bigger, a little brighter. I think this is the one. Yeah. So this is actually a 4A, and then in the system there's also a 3AB. So that 3AB is going to be the giant. And that's actually not represented in the galaxy map. This only shows the main star. I've got a couple other bookmarks, but we can come back to finding giants on a later stream. I don't want to get too bogged down here. Let's see. Interpreting system names. That's a good one. So I'll just stick here at this Thrychiae HGX E1-4. What does that all mean? Well, most of the systems in the game, the names are procedurally generated. So unlike Sol or Lave or Colonia, they don't have manually given names. So Thrychiae is the sector we're in. So every star around these are all going to be Thrychiaes. That's just where we are in the galaxy. And then the HG-X after that is a coordinate or numerating system used by the game. I don't believe it's been deciphered as to what the letters mean specifically in terms of where it is positioned within the sector. I know the heaviest stars in the entire sector will always be AA-A. You can see that nebula down there, actually, AA-A, H60, ending in that. There will be some stars in the game named AA-A, and those will be in the heaviest systems. And how do I know that? Well, the E1-4 there, that letter, is actually indicative of how massive the system is, how heavy the system is. So E is going to be a heavy system. A is going to be less heavy, less massive. And these B-type stars are, by definition, larger stars. So when you see a B-type star, you're usually going to see it as an E-type system or E-weight system. Sometimes you'll see it as an F. Whereas if I go to the right here to this one that's got B17-0 on the end, I'll probably see that is, let's see if I can guess the type just based on the color. I'm going to guess that's maybe an N-type. It's not red enough for an M. Maybe it is M-type. Let's see. No, it's an L-type. Okay. But you can see it's B17-0, that B indicating it's a lower mass system. And where that comes in handy is kind of guesstimating, are you going to find planets in the system? Are they going to be gas giants? Are they going to be metallic, rocky bodies, icy bodies? It's not a guaranteed science, but if you're looking for a specific type of thing, if you're looking for metallic bodies, if you're looking for rings around planets that you can mine, the weights of the system can kind of indicate what you might be finding within that system. So that all being said and known now, what do we do when we're on expeditions? Well, we go places. So you can see that I had that course plotted to Rohini from the carrier that I was at. Let's see if it is still plotted. I can't remember if I selected another star or not. Yeah, it's still plotted. You can see the line still there. So I covered the meaning of the dashed versus dotted lines, blue versus orange. One of the other things I wanted to cover in terms of course plotting is how you can turn that off if you aren't comfortable with neutron or white dwarf jumps. You can turn that off here under the Use Jet Cone Boost, and let me get zoomed in on one of the blue lines so we can see it replot. So here's a neutron star just a couple jumps away. So if I were to turn off Use Jet Cone Boost, then I would have the course replotted, and in just a moment when the system recalculates it, yep, you see that went away. So there's one thing there for boost, and the other thing you see down here is FSD boost, and this one actually has a slider for 1, 2, and 3. And as you can see, as I slid that around, my jump range just below went way up. That doesn't give your ship a magically larger jump range. That's telling the galaxy map to plot it as if you had what's called an FSD injection, or you might see it in chat as jumponium. And those are various materials that you can mine on planets you can collect that are allowing you to extend the range of your jump. And it consumes those materials and increases the range of your jump. Now, you don't typically do this while you're navigating the galaxy map normally, but if you're in an area of sparsely populated space, where we might be at the end, you will see the opportunity to increase your jump range to get between stars that are very far apart using jumponium. But I don't have a need for that right now, so I'm going to turn that off. Turn jet cone boost back on. The other item in here that you're not going to want during most exploration cases is economical routes. And that is useful if you're really trying to stretch your fuel. It will plot very short jumps to conserve fuel, but it doesn't actually get you very far. You can see the maximum plot range is 1,000 light years, and it will take many jumps to go a very short distance if you have this on. So in most cases you won't want economical routes. So the way most explorers have I put the accent on the wrong syllable there. The way most explorers have their galaxy map set up is fastest routes with jet cone boost turned on. So let's see, how many jumps away was that? Let's see if I can demonstrate a neutron for you. Yeah, let's go head out on this course to Rohini. Let's go get to that neutron star, and along the way I'll cover scanning stellar bodies with your FSS, the full spectrum scanner, as well as scanning specific planets with the DSS, the detailed surface scanner, and finding items of note thereon. And that's a very bright star. I just kind of want to check out what that is before we get moving here. I doubt it's anything fun, but no, just an F-type. It's just right in front of me. Okay, so I've been babbling on in the galaxy map for quite a while here, so let's actually get out and do some exploring. It is most likely that everything we find between here and Rohini is going to be already discovered, as we are on a pretty well-traveled path known as the Colonia Connection Highway. Rohini, of course, being a station, as I mentioned, along that highway. If you didn't have the benefit of carriers taking you to Colonia for free, like we do here, the Colonia Connection Highway stations provide a nice stop to rest, refuel, repair, and take a break from the grind. But I've parked myself in my Diamondback Explorer here, the Beagle Flyer. I've been off to Beagle Point twice and back with this thing. A very trusty ship, and it's something that new explorers are likely to have. You know, you might have a Beagle, or you might have a Diamondback Explorer, you might have an Asp Explorer. They're relatively inexpensive ships, and they can be outfitted to go pretty far. We'll cover outfitting in another stream, but there's a lot you can do to get stretch range out of this type of ship. This particular one, unladen, which means empty of cargo and fuel, will go 64 light years. With a full tank of gas, it goes a little bit less. If you're wondering how I know, that's under the ship menu, and if you just scroll down to the statistics, you can see your ship's information. So let's go exploring. Let's get launched here, and let's see what we've got. Now, as we're coming up to the surface here, I want to have a quick look at the HUD on the ship. You can see I've kind of got some blue lines in the HUD. That means I am in analysis mode. The other mode for the ship is combat mode. On the PlayStation, to change between modes, it's pressing triangle and then up on the D-pad. I imagine it's similar on the Xbox. And then for PC players, I honestly have no idea what switches the modes. But the important bit is most of the exploration tools that you'll be using are going to be done in analysis mode. So we'll switch back to that. Blue lines are what you're looking for there. And of course, we can see that our jump destination is up and to our right by looking at the compass. So we'll kind of just pivot over towards that. And I've been flying up the whole time, so we're out of mass lock. And we'll make our first jump. Accelerate to maximum throttle and engage the frame shift drive. Now you can see that I've got the composition scanner bound to one of my fire groups here. I think I've actually got the wrong fire group active, so we'll have a quick look at that and cover the exploration tools as soon as we arrive in this next system here, which will be any moment. Now this is, of course, a loading screen. This exploration in this game is watching a series of loading screens and having fun while doing it. Let's see if I switch to my A fire group. What's that one I got? Let's see what's the right one. So what you might hear being referred to as honking in chat is this discovery scanner right here, which, there it goes. And that now comes with every ship and is equipped as a in your fire group panel, and you can see that as I did that scan just there, I found 14 bodies in the system. So we're going to look at those bodies and see how we find the planets. But to do that, I want to get a little farther away from the star. So I'm just going to fly away from the star here, accelerate to 10C, and then once I hit 10C, I'm going to slow back down again, because you cannot use the full spectrum scanner while you're at a high rate of speed. You have to slow down to do that. So let's see those 14 bodies. We've got to bring up the full spectrum scanner to do that, the FSS. On PlayStation, that's going to be triangle R1. And this gives us a map to look at with kind of a pulsating wave running down the screen like rainfall there. Now this system, I can tell you right now, probably doesn't have a lot of interesting things in it, just by looking at the spectral analysis bar on the bottom. So you can see on the spectral analysis bar some lines here, which indicate in this system I'm going to find some icy bodies, and then over towards the right you see some more lines, and those are going to be gas giants. And after using this for a while, you'll come to learn what's useful to find, what's not. These icy bodies are of no value whatsoever, unless you're looking for a place to maybe do geyser jumping with some geological signals. We'll get to that later on in the stream. If you're looking to make money with exploration, the real value is in Earth-like, ammonia worlds, and water worlds. And those are all going to be just slightly right of center on this FSS analysis. You'll see Earth-likes here in green, and we can tell there are none in the system. Ammonia here in whatever that color is, beige, I guess. And then water worlds in red. And a lot of times, if you're in a system with a lot of rocky ice bodies, you can be tricked into thinking one of them might be an Earth-like because they'll hang out right about here on the scanner. But one of the things that's useful to know is this pattern of chevrons here. Those are different for every type of planet. So we've got icy bodies here, para 2, 2, and then 1, and then the gas giants. I don't have that one memorized. Okay, it looks like that. But I know that the Earth-like resemble a Christmas tree. It's 1, 2, and 2. So if there were an Earth-like planet in this system, we'd see 1 chevron, then 2, then 2 below that. Whereas if it was a rocky ice world, it would be a different pattern. So that's how you can tell the difference without having to scan them. Because usually when you're doing long-distance exploration and doing a lot of jumps, you don't have to scan every single body in every single system. I'm going to scan this system for you just so you can see the process. But normally when I'm traveling, this is a system I would just skip. There's nothing here worth finding. But we can see this kind of gray line that represents the orbital plane. So most of the planets that we find are going to be along this. Now, a system can have multiple orbital planes, so bear that in mind if you're having trouble finding one. It could be off on a different plane. But you can see this pulsing thing right here from the pattern, indicating there's a body there. And it's not an icy body because there's nothing showing up. But if I scroll over here to the gas giants, you can now see I have something to select. And if I zoom in on that a couple times, we'll find we've got a class 1 gas giant. Now, gas giants tend to have moons, so I'm not going to zoom all the way out. I'm just going to zoom out once and then slide the scanner over to the left, and look at that. We've got more bodies to find. These are going to be our icy moons. We can just scan them and find everything in here. Now, interestingly enough, seeing a first discovery. This might be a first discovery system for me. Useless, and worthless, but first discovery. And I'll cover what that means in just a second. We'll just get these all scanned. I doubt any of them have geo or bio sites, but we'll look anyway. And you can see up in the upper right there where it says bodies 8 out of 14. That means I'm a little bit over halfway done finding everything in this system. And the audio announcer will, of course, indicate when we have found everything. It'll say system scan complete. And if there's nothing to find in a system, when you honk, it'll say that right away. You don't have to get into the FSS to find that. So you can see here, this is the B star, so there are 2 stars in the system. So these are going to be a little farther away. Let's see if we got our gas giant out here. Nope, we don't. So it's going to be all icy bodies around this B-type star. Nothing of note here. Nothing of note there. And when I say nothing of note, what I'm looking at there is in the top right where it says features none. There's no geosites, no biosites, nothing worth finding, although based on that image, this planet may have some canyons. That could be a fun place to race. But looking at the gravity, half a grav, probably not going to be a place you want to do some racing if you're new to it. So we'll pull out of that and just get, it's going to be 11 and 12 here. Looks like I've got a gas giant that needs to be found. And watch this system be an example of a system with something in an eccentric orbit. That's tough to find. Let's just scroll around here. Yeah, okay, so here's another orbital plane. Let's see if I can find anything on that. No, of course not. So this is the fun part of FSSing is eccentric bodies which don't follow the orbital plane of everything else in the system can be hard to find. And there it is. There's our gas giant wandering off in the middle of nowhere. And this one has rings, which is kind of cool. And so we'll actually go have a look at those and see if there's anything there. One thing I didn't mention, actually, is how you can tell if they have rings without zooming in on them like this. So let me just back out real quick. This was the first gas giant we found in the system, and you can see how all those chevrons are kind of just squished together. That means no rings. But if I go over to this one, the chevrons are kind of spaced apart. That means rings. So if you're looking to do ring mining, for instance, if you're looking to get tritium for the carrier, or if you're looking to find low-temperature diamonds or painite to get some money, you can look in this spectral analysis for spaced-out chevrons. That'll tell you there's some rings around the planet. And let me just zoom back in so we can see what type of rings they are. I thought it said that in here. It doesn't. Nope, it doesn't. Okay, that's fine. We'll look at a different spot. So I've closed out the FSS now because we found all the planets. And let's have a quick look at them in the system map. Alright, so this is our system. This is our arrival star. It looks like an M-type. And, yep, class M. And 6,092 million years old. It's a relatively old star. Excuse me, just a second. Okay, sorry about that. So this star has been discovered by someone else passing through the system. You can see where it says first discovered by Hooligan in 1991. The first discoveries are persistent across all platforms, so if you find something on PS4, your name is on it, whether somebody else comes to it later on Xbox or PC. One note about discovering things, you don't get the credit just for scanning it. You have to turn in the data at a carrier or a station before you get that. And critically important, if you explode before that happens, so if you self-destruct to get back to the carrier quicker, or if you land on a high-gravity planet a little too quickly and take critical damage, the data is lost. So be careful with your landings, especially if you've got cool stuff that you found, like an Earth-like that's undiscovered. You don't want to lose that. I think I didn't see... Yeah, so this system, the last time it was visited, nobody did any of that FSS mapping like I just did. And that's because the system there's really nothing here to see. So you can see how this planet doesn't have a first discovery name on it. Let's go put one on there. This is a planet with rocky rings, so there's not going to be tritium here to find, but we'll see if there's hotspots anyway. I'll show you how to do that. So I'm just going to select this so it shows up. And now my compass has adjusted. It's heading towards this planet. It's right next to us, which is super convenient. So we'll fly to 7 seconds, go down to 3/4 throttle. That happened really fast, so later on in this stream when we're going to a different planet, I'll explain what I just did there to approach the planet basically as quickly as you can without using some more advanced maneuvers. Looking at my HUD there, you can see surface scanner's out of range, and now it's too fast, so I'm going to slow down. That means I'm in range. Surface scanner is the detailed surface scanner. This does not come with your ship. So if you are along on the carrier ride to Colonia, or if you've already arrived there on the FC Silver's Landing, and your ship does not have a detailed surface scanner, you're going to want to pick one up. They're going to be important to finding things on planets, and in this case, we're going to find things around planets. They take a Class 1 slot in your optional internal, and you're really going to want to have that to what's called map the planet. So I'm not going to map this gas giant. You can see kind of on the right-hand lower side of the screen where it says efficiency target 20 probes. That'll take forever. There's really no point to it, but I am going to map the ring. So you can see right now it's kind of showing me where the probe's going to land. If I were to pull way out here, it'd miss. The probe would just go around the planet and come back at me. But if I aim it right about here, you'll see it says ring, and you only need one probe per ring. And it looks, what the visual representation here is a little deceiving. This planet only has one ring system, so I'm only going to need one probe. So we'll just pop that off there, and we'll wait for gravity to pull it in. There we go. We've hit the ring. Let's see if we found any hotspots. Nope, no hotspots here. So this ring is absolutely worthless completely. Okay, that's all right. We'll find another one. If there had been hotspots, they would have lit up in yellow-orange or orange-red in this ring, and you would have been able to see useful places to mine, and the hotspots do identify what's in them. So if you're looking for tritium, it'll show tritium hotspot, but there is nothing here. Oh, there was one. I lied. This had a monzonite hotspot. Monazite. As I mentioned in the Discord, one of the things I cannot do is read. It's a personal failing I'm choosing not to work on. So if I get your name wrong at any point in chat or even in Discord, I apologize, but it's probably not going to get better. Ask our fellow along, Andre Capitat, who for the longest time I thought was Andre Potato. Anyway, this is a mineable hotspot. I guess it's so tiny that it doesn't show up, so I'm not going to bother approaching it. We'll find a better hotspot than that. But we're done with this system. We've scanned the system. We've scanned all the planets. None were exceptionally interesting. I don't think any of them were landable. Let's just look real quick. Nope, nothing's landable. If one of these planets had been landable, you'd see a little kind of blue arc around the outside of it, which would indicate that the planet can be landed on with your ship. But none of these are, so there's really nothing else worth doing here. So I'm going to resume my course towards Rohini and get this show on the road here. I think we're maybe 3 or 4 jumps away from that neutron. So what I'm going to do is head straight for that neutron in what's called a Buckyball. Buckyball is where you honk each system and fly around the star and hit the nest system immediately. That's the quickest way to get from point A to point B. Obviously, you're not going to get any discoveries of planets because you're not stopping to look for them. The only time in a Buckyball where I would stop to look for planets if I see where it says orbital plane established and then the number of bodies. If it was like a 90 body system, I would stop and look because that's pretty unique. Make sure you scoop for fuel. You don't necessarily have to scoop every time you jump, especially if you've got a smaller fuel scoop like this Diamondback does. But because I know I'm headed towards a neutron that's not going to be scoopable, I'm going to keep the tank topped off just so that I don't wind up having a jump that I can't make because I don't have enough fuel. So there was one bit about what I just did there that I glossed over that I'll explain in more detail in the next system when we arrive, and that's how to make sure you don't take heat damage while flying close to a star and charging your frameshift drive. So I'll explain that as soon as we get to wherever this is. smoking, and you can see the yellow exclusion zone line there that I'm not going to cross. Basically, I'm going to get as close as possible until my fuel scoop rate tops out. There we go. It's topped out at 343 because this is a Class 4A scoop, this Diamondback. And I'm just going to stay in at that distance from the sun. See, my heat is climbing, but that couldn't... that's not going to damage my ship until it goes over 100. Now, when it gets above 80, I'll get a little closer, so it does. You can hear the ship start to yell at you. There it is. And a horn's going off, and when it gets above 90, the ship will start beeping, and when it gets above 100, you'll start taking damage, so don't want that. But notice how in the radar, the sun is red. That means if I charge the frame shift drive, let me get back, I got a little too far away, it's not red anymore. Let me get back in. If I charge the frame shift drive while the sun's red like this, I'm almost certainly going to take heat damage. So I'm just going to get far enough away from the sun that it turns yellow. And once it does, I can charge the frame shift drive knowing that my ship's not going to take damage. So that's just a good way to make sure that you don't overcook yourself. You can see the ship smoking a little bit there. That's just a visual effect that hasn't actually damaged my systems in any way. I mentioned that we're coming up on a neutron star. One thing that you can do to know whether you're going to arrive at a neutron star or a white dwarf or a black hole is take a look in that message box in the top right. Once you start charging the frame shift drive, it will tell you what your destination star type is going to be. So I'm going to charge now. This thing's yellow, and look, we're arriving at an F type. So I don't really have to take any special action. What I can do if I'm going to arrive at a neutron is wait for the jump to start here. And here we go. Once the jump animation begins and we're in our glorified loading screen, while you can't see the throttle, you can still control it. So I'm actually pressing the throttle all the way back to 0 right now on my controller, and when we arrive in the system, we're going to find that I'm going the minimum 30 kilometers a second. There we go. And why that's useful, if you're arriving in a neutron system, or a black hole system, or a white dwarf system, sometimes they can be a little scary and you don't want to smash into the star, especially if it's a white dwarf. So if you zero the throttle out like that while you're jumping, you know that you're going to come in and have plenty of room to spare. Of course, we're not going anywhere now that I've done that, so I'm going to put the throttle back up here, grab some gas around the star, and get on the way towards this neutron star. My guess is it's the next one or the one after that. We should be getting pretty close. So I will use that to demonstrate how to get a charge off the neutron star and make your jumps go a lot farther. You'll see this jump. So I'm pretty sure, knowing I haven't hit the button yet, with like 95% accuracy that this is going to be my neutron star, and the reason I know that is this is a short jump. This is a 27 light year jump in a ship that I know goes 60, which tells me that the computer, the route plotter, has sent me to the neutron, and that means that it's not always guaranteed, but that usually means the short jump range is going to be neutron. So if I charge the frame shift, look at that, it's a neutron star. So I'm going to do that throttle 0 out once the jump animation for which base begins. You don't slam into the neutron star. Now you don't have to. It's a neutron star. Their exclusion zones are actually really small. They can look scary, but they're they look a lot scarier than they really are. But I'm going to 0 it out anyway. And we'll come to a nice stop here. Now this is a pretty typical neutron star. It's nice and wispy. Some of them tend to look like the master control program from Tron, and they, if you've seen the South Park parody of that, they want macaroni pictures. The thing about neutrons is, regardless of what they look like, they're all equally the same level of danger or safe. So even if this were one of the ones that is seizure-inducing and rotating super fast. You don't have to be afraid of those larger ones. In fact, the larger ones, because the cones are bigger, are easier to use, and I'll explain that as we fly into one. So we are basically pointed right at it right now. We don't want that because there is an exclusion zone for a neutron star, and they do have a cool gravitational lensing effect, but that's going to be for more advanced piloting tutorials perhaps later on. What we do want to do is fly into that jet stream. So we're going to point up at it a little bit and fly towards it. And the ship will say this. And now we're in it, and I got in it, and then it spat me out again. So I'm going to go in it a little slower and then throttle down as soon as I'm in it. And now this is the jet stream is actually throwing my ship around like this. So it's important to fly well pointed away from the neutron so that you don't get pointed towards it and sucked in. But if you saw that there where it said frame shift drive supercharged, that means I'm done. So I can point away from the jet stream and exit. Or not. It's got me. There we go. I'm out of it now. And you can see that my next jump is 198 light years away, which is kind of awesome. So we'll go ahead and take that jump. There's nothing you have to do that's special about that. Oh, I'm doing another neutron. 2 neutrons in a row. That's pretty cool. And that's always fun, but of course, if you do multiple neutrons in a row, bear in mind that you can't scoop fuel off a neutron star. So just keep an eye on that gas tank. Now, if you use the in-game plotter to plot your course, it should not plot you a course that will run you out of gas, so you can usually trust it. I've never had it give me a problem, but it's still worth just keeping an eye on, just in case. So here we'll kind of do this faster, and here's a spinnier one. We'll fly into it, get pointed away from it, get in the jet stream, reduce the throttle, and we're supercharged, and we'll fly back out. And that's it. That's literally all you have to do neutron plotting. And this is actually going to take us right to Rohini, which is pretty awesome. So we'll do that jump there. I think there's some stuff worth landing on in Rohini in addition to the stations that are there, so we'll give that a scan once we arrive in the system. This is a populated system because it's one of the Colonia Connection Highway stops. So there's a nav beacon and everything there, which would show me, which if we scanned it would give me all the planets, which I'm pretty sure I've already done. I'm pretty sure that's it. No, that's a tourist spot. I'll just top off my gas tank from those neutron stars real quick, and then I will fly away from the star. Now, I don't need to FSS this system. I'm pretty sure I have the system scanned already. But again, for the purposes of making the star not block your scanning, because you cannot scan through a star, I always just go out to about 10C on the velocity there, slow down, and then pull up the FSS. And I may not, in fact, have scanned the system. Nope, I haven't. So we'll quickly scan it. Got some emission sources. Don't really care about those. I'm sure there's a couple carriers here. Carriers, yeah, these are more emission sources. Not really a good use of anyone's time. Yep. Not going to go to any place that's weapons fire. This exploration ship is not really built out for that. Okay, here are our planets. Icy body. Icy body. High metals. Oh, I forgot to mention this one actually in the list of planets that are of some value. High metal content worlds can be of some value in discoveries. I typically won't stop on a system to scan them if there's not Earth, water, or ammonia. But if I do stop to scan a system, I do look at these high metal content worlds. And I will show you one bit of information about them that can increase their value. As soon as I'm done scanning the system here, we'll pop over to the system map. The value add is terraformable planets. So if a planet is terraformable, it is worth considerably more when you turn in your discoveries, which gets you more money and advances your exploration rank faster. So I don't know if any of these planets are going to be terraformable, but if there is, I'll show you where to look so that you can identify terraformable planets. There we go, system scan complete. So we'll pull up the galaxy map, see what we got. See if any of these are terraformable. Alright, and here's our stations. We can park on those if we want to. I'm not really going to bother. High metal world. So here in the world information on the left-hand column here is some information about the planet. If it were terraformable, under the spot where it says you have not mapped this planet, it would say this planet is a candidate for terraforming. If you see that, it's worth it to go out to the planet and scan the planet. There we go. This body is a candidate for terraforming. So let's go get a map of it and get that money. Because if it's a candidate for terraforming and you don't map it, you don't get the money. And I didn't demonstrate the mapping at that last system we're in, so let's do that. So here's a terraformable body. None of these are landable, so we'll go map it, and then we'll head back towards the Omega concern, find something worth landing on, hopefully with geo or biological signals, and then see if we can't find our black hole to round out the stream here. Now I mentioned 7 seconds and 3/4 throttle. See where it says the time of arrival is 27 seconds and counting down. If you go at the body you're targeting full throttle, right up until the point where it says 7 seconds, and then go down to 3/4 throttle, which is going to be dead in the middle of the blue zone. So right about now, you will slow down without overshooting the planet. Sometimes the timer will go down to 6 seconds, which is fine. If it goes down to 5 or 4, it's more than likely you're going to wind up having to do the loop of shame. But I got it there at 7 seconds, down into 6, so we're going to come in just fine here. Now, if we hit that gravity well on the right, it might slow us down. We might have to speed back up again. But now I'm looking at the surface scanner, which is red on the HUD on the left. Once it says too fast, instead of out of range, I'm going to slow all the way down. Because you cannot be moving this quick to map a planet. There we go. Alright, so we're slowed completely down, and I'm going to just activate that with my fire group control. And we're back in this, which you've seen before when I mapped the ring. Now I'm going to map the actual planet, and since this is a small rocky body, well, it's a metallic planet, but that's besides the point. It's not a gas giant. You can see in the efficiency target over there on the right, it takes 6 probes to fully map this planet. Now you can fire 3 at once, and if you map the whole planet with that number, 6 or fewer, you get a small bonus of credits when you turn in your data. And I have discovered that this pattern typically gets me a complete map every time. 1, 2, 3. You can see them refilling over there in that little bar on the right. I've got 3 more probes. You don't have to wait for all 3, I'm just doing it anyway, and then I do 1, 2, 3. And you can see that blue sphere, that's now the portion of the planet that probed map. You can switch to view the rear of the planet to see your other probes. You can see the percentage mapped increasing on the bottom. And once it gets up to 90, it just automatically goes to 100 and you get the planet. Boom. There you go. So I got my efficiency target for that terraformable high metal world. So, yay me. But we can't land on it. So nothing worth doing there. So, to get back to the IPX Omega concern, we're going to go back into the galaxy map here. Now we're not that far away, and it'll be easy to find. I'm going to just zoom out a little. You can see those icons over there. There's 3 icons on it. The orange one means there's a bookmark in the system. And I'll explain that versus bookmarking the whole system. Well, I'll explain that right now, actually, because Rohini's bookmarked. See how the Rohini bookmark just is kind of a bookmark icon and nothing else? Well, if I get over to the IPX Omega concern and get a little closer so you can see it, that bookmark icon you can see has an arrow to the left, which means I have bookmarked something in that system, but I haven't bookmarked the whole system itself. So that's useful to know if you find a system with a cool planet worth landing on, or in this case, a carrier. So the bookmark in the system in this case is the carrier. And then, of course, when the carrier moves, my bookmark moves, which means it's really easy to keep track of the carrier that way. So to see that, we just switch over to the system map, right, from the galaxy map. And we can see that I have the Omega concern bookmarked there. And so we can plot a route directly to it. And the only difference between doing that from the galaxy map and the system map is now when I arrive in the system, instead of having to find the Omega concern in the navigation panel and then fly at it, it's already going to be preloaded into the compass. So I don't have to take that extra step, and I can just immediately start flying off to the Omega concern. So let's head on back. I'm going to get a little closer to the Omega concern. I'm probably going to do those 2 neutron hops in the other direction off different stars this time. Yep, you can see the gray line below down here. That's the course I just took. So if I wanted to backtrack specifically to somewhere I'd been because there was something worth finding or worth revisiting, I could use this trail of breadcrumbs to go back to places I'd previously been. But no need to do that here. I'm going to take the map the plotter found for me, take advantage of that neutron so we can see that in action again. And once I get within throwing distance of the IPX Omega concern, so after that second neutron there, we'll see if we can't find our black hole and planet to land on if we're lucky. So off we go. Right to a neutron star immediately. So that's again why I like to keep the fuel tank topped off. Don't have to worry about it. Now, one thing I'm going to mention, Neutron Stars tend to have metallic, high metal content world in them. That's just a matter of fact of the kind of star system they are. So if you're looking for terraformable high metals, they're likely to be in the neutron system. In fact, what the heck, we found 9 bodies here. Let's take a quick look. Yep, there they are. There won't be very many, and chances are they will have already been discovered. Yep, because people go hunting for neutrons all the time. So I'm not likely going to map anything here, even if they are terraformable. This one should have rings. Look at that, and look at that nice blue hue from the neutron star. It's not going to look that cool in person if we were to actually fly up to it. We're getting a bit of a color cast from the neutron star. Looks like I missed a moon. Yep. It's just a matter of how the game works. We have one more gas giant hanging out in this system here. Another one with rings. Class 4. The Class 4s always look really cool on the full spectrum scanner, and then you can hardly see them at all in person. They're very dim typically. All right. Moving right along. Drive charging. believe it was 9 jumps back to the concern, yeah. So once we hit that second neutron star and make that jump, we'll be close enough to the concern that I will go and see if we can find that black hole. So if anyone needs a quick break from the stream, quick break from me, quick break for snacks, it'll be about 5 minutes before I get to that star. So just going to do some jumping here, and nothing of note for the next 5. So if you need a quick break, now's a great time.
Fuel scooping complete. Frameshift drive charging. System scan complete.
Nothing to see here.
Fuel sweeping complete. Frameshift drive charging. Sweeping complete. Frameshift drive charging.
Alright, in case anyone was rummaging in the kitchen looking for snacks, grabbing a cup of tea, arriving at a neutron star in the next jump, so I'm going to jump off of that, and then we'll start our hunt for the black hole. So you got about a 2-minute warning, then we're going to start looking for a black hole. Welcome. I just saw a couple people join the stream. So for those of us who just joined, we're jumping off this neutron star real quick, and then we're going to find a black hole. I happen to know there is one near where the carrier currently is. I don't know where it is. So we'll see if the skills of map filtering that I covered at the beginning of the video are of any use in me finding it.
Frameshift drive on beyond safety limits. Frameshift drive supercharged.
JP has asked, do I have that captain's voice, or is that something I learned in flight school? I honestly don't know. I have received compliments on my radio voice in the past. I roll with it.
Frameshift drive charging.
But it doesn't come naturally to everyone, I will say that. I've heard some people on the radio that are trying the patience of everyone sharing the airwaves with them, that's for certain.
Ready to engage.
Alright, here we are close enough to the concern that I think we can start hunting for that black hole. Nothing worth scanning in the system. I can tell because it said 3 bodies and I can see them all on my radar already, which means there's 3 stars in this system, no planets whatsoever, so I'm not going to even bother pulling up the FSS to look for them, so I'm just going to top off the gas tank here really quick. And as you move from beginner to intermediate to advanced in exploration, one of the first things that you're going to do is buy a bigger fuel scoop for your vehicles. Okay, got that southern drawl going on. So you don't have to spend so long around the sun. Alright, let's see if we can find ourselves a black hole. So, going back into the concepts we covered earlier in the video, we're going to switch over here to the map view. And I know that black holes are non-sequence stars. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn everything off except for non-sequence stars. Now, this is not going to find only black holes. This is going to find neutron holes as well. Neutron holes? How about neutron stars? Okay. Now, so you can see in the map where the neutron star that I just was at should show up there still. Yeah, you can see it's got that. So there's a black hole somewhere within 300 light years. So what I'm looking for now is a gray dot on the map. Let's see. You kind of have to get the zoom. There's. Is that some over that way? Yeah, it is. Okay. So, got to get the zoom level right, because if you zoom out too far, they disappear. But if you zoom in too much, it takes ages to get to. So I try to find this zoom level right here. Got a couple gray blobs over here. Turns out that is a nebula, not a star. Let's just see what's in it, because now I'm curious. Oh, no. Huh. I don't know what was in there. Maybe I'm not zoomed in enough. Oh, there it is. It's an Herbig AEBE. These are not particularly rare, but they're kind of cool. The codex will tell you why. I honestly can't remember, unless someone wants to chime in the chat why they're relevant. Unfortunately, the chat is about, well, the video is about a couple seconds behind, so I don't know if someone's going to tell me why Herbig AEBEs are cool or not. I think they're young. I think they're young stars. And that nebula, while it looks like it might be interesting, almost certainly is not. Yes, that's why Herbig AE, yeah, they are young stars. The nebula that you saw, let me turn everything back off so that the nebula is easier to see. Oh boy, I missed. Okay. The nebula is the the accretion disk around the star as the stellar system is beginning to form. If we go there, there's not going to be really anything to see. I accidentally selected a nearby system, but that's okay. So let's just turn everything off again. And in a future video, we'll go nebula hunting and look for more non-sequence stars. I think there were a couple around here, but I got myself a little turned around. There's one. Is this another nebula? It is. More nebulas. There's the Eagle Nebula. I'm actually not having much luck finding. There's a non-sequence star, but I bet you it's not our black hole. You know how I know? Because it's D2-3. As we discussed earlier in the video, the D mass of the system means it's going to be relatively light, so I bet that's a small neutron star. But let's have a look and find out. Yep, it is. It's also too far away. I do know that the black hole nearby is within about 300 light years. Now, there is another way to find black holes that I've never had a whole lot of luck with, and that is switching the map over to realistic mode, which is going to bring all the stars back, and then kind of slowly sliding through against the brightness of the galaxy and looking for spots that are not illuminated, where basically you're looking for the black hole to pass in front of the star, or the star field, rather. I've never found a single black hole doing this. I don't expect that I'm going to find one right now. So I'm going to switch back to the map. I'm going to look one more time for non-sequence stars near the carrier. What is this? Ha! Found it! Black hole, and it's got a nebula around it too, which may make it interesting. Okay, so that's how you find a black hole. Let's just see. Now let me know where it is. If that trick... Well, okay, so you can see that it is black against the background of the stars. So that is a valid way to find them. I never would have seen that. I don't know if I just don't have the eyes for that or what, but I tend to find them this way. So we'll go ahead and plot her out to that black hole. We'll see if we can find a landable body on the way, since we haven't seen one of those yet. And let's get going. Now, remember the difference between having a filter and applying a route, that filter to the route. I did not apply my filter to the route, so just the fact that I had non-sequence stars shown in the galaxy map still means I'm going to arrive at different types of stars on the way. So, hit a white star here. And we should be at that black hole in 5 to 7 minutes, depending on what we find along the way. So we'll kind of put the whole contents of the video together here and show you the process of deep space exploration. As we jump between the systems, I will identify whether or not the systems are worth FSSing, and if I go into the FSS, whether or not they're worth stopping it to fully scan. And then if we do scan the system, we'll identify if there's anything good in it. This system has 2 stellar bodies. They're both stars. That's going to be the B star right over there. Yep. Not bothering to stop. I'm a little pleased with myself right now that I found that black hole without cheating. Now I'm curious if it's the one that has already been sent to me. I'm sure it is. And I'm sure this black hole's already been found. Again, we're on a well-traveled area of space, and black hole hunting is something that people do for fun, so I can almost certainly guarantee that this black hole's already discovered, but still, it'll be a fun ending point to our visit. And yes, JP has made a comment about my Kovas voice, which in-game, I'm actually totally blanking on the name of it, but the voice actor is Marina Sirtis, who you probably recognize as Counselor Troy from Star Trek. Now, I saw 21 bodies in this system, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to top off the gas tank here, and then I'm going to fly towards our departure spot, but I'm not going to depart yet. I'm going to get that velocity up to 10C, so that star is out of the way of the full spectrum scanner. And then I'm going to slow down, and let's see if the system is worth scanning. Go just a little bit farther away from the star, and there we are. Close enough to 10C. We'll pull up that full spectrum scanner. I'll tell you right now, there's nothing worth seeing in there in the system. This might be class 1 or 2 gas giants, but all rocky, icy bodies, and some asteroid clusters. Waste of time. Nope, moving on.
Frameshift drive charging.
Realized that I missed the part where I'd show you some what hotspots look like on rings. So if I find another gas giant that looks like it's going to have rings, based on that positioning of the chevrons, if it's close enough, we'll stop by and give it a quick look over to see if it's got hotspots. So just so you can see what those look like for your reference in your travels. 10 is kind of my ballpark number, I guess. If it's got 10 or more, I will usually pull up the FSS. If it's got fewer than 10, I usually don't bother. That's just kind of my rule of thumb. You can stop at every one if you like. There isn't anything particular about 10 that made me pick it. That's just the number I settled on. And that's what I use as a rule of thumb. So since that was 10, I will have a quick peek here at the FSS. Nope, rocky body's moving on. And that's all you have to do. Is just look at that spectrum analysis at the bottom, and if there's nothing to the right of the center, then you know there are no Earth-like worlds, no ammonia worlds, and no water worlds. All rocky, icy, or metallic. In this particular case, it was all icy, so not worth anything to find those, so I don't stop. It's at 12, so we'll do the same thing. I think we're probably 4, maybe 3 jumps away. 2. Awesome. And again, because you can't scoop a black hole, I'm keeping the gas tank topped off. You don't have to do that. And some of my other ships wouldn't matter because it'd be full by the time we got to this point. But the fuel scoop, one of the most commonly complained about weaknesses of the Diamondback Explorer is its small fuel scoop. I don't mind it so much. I've been to Beagle Point and back. Oh, look at that. Look at that spectral analysis. We know, I'm pretty sure that's going to be a water world. So this system is worth stopping at. Now, I'm sure it's already explored, but that's okay. As we get along in the expedition, we're going to get so far away from civilization that when you find a system like this, it's going to be your discovery. So we'll have a look at that. There we go. Waterworld, of course, first discovered by this guy. He hasn't mapped it, though. So I'll get a little bit of money when I map this. It's only 17,000 light seconds away, which is going to take a little bit of time to get to, but not much. And it's worth it for that extra money. The Waterworld itself is probably worth about 1 million credits, and mapping it will make it about 1.5 million. If it's terraformable, which we'll know in a minute, then it's worth even more. And the specific values, if you've got EDSM running alongside you and it's currently in sync, it'll actually tell you what the values are for the planets in the system. I'm just ballparking it based off of previous knowledge. Let's see. And you do get a small bonus if you completely scan a system. So even though these things that I'm scanning now are all icy bodies, not really worth anything, I get that system scan complete, get a small bonus. Alright, so now let's pull up our system map, and we'll quickly run through, see if we've got any terraformables. So that's going to be our metallic right there. It is a candidate for terraforming, so we'll get that mapping bonus. I'm going to select that, head right there. Based on that, I bet you the water world is 2. It is. So we'll map that as well, and the rest of these we're not going to bother to map because there's nothing there. I did mention that I would point out a landable planet. That is a landable planet. There's that blue arc I mentioned earlier. We can see that it's 0.21 gravities, which is not bad. However, no volcanism. You can see in the volcanism spot there in the left column. Volcanism means essentially geosites. If it's got volcanism, it's going to have geological sites. This one doesn't, so it won't. So I'm not going to land on it. But I am going to go get a scan and some money for these high metal contents. So those are 17,000 light seconds away. It's going to take roughly 4 minutes to get to. So again, if you need a quick break, which I actually do, I'm going to point this and fly away. And I'm in a private group, so I'm not worried about stream snipers. If you need a quick break, now is a great time. I'm going to go grab a cup of water. If you've heard my voice crackling, that's why. So I'll be back shortly as I let the ship fly its way over to that body. Be right back. I'm back. Looks like we're coming up on that planet. Still a minute or two to go. One thing you might be wondering is Super Cruise Assist. I'm not using it. And the reason for that is Super Cruise Assist will not... well, number one, it takes up a slot for modules, which I prefer to stick with exploration utilities. But number two, if I had Super Cruise... Wow. Okay, let's try that with vowels. If I had Super Cruise Assist on, it would take longer to get there because it does not fly you in at full throttle. So I'm going to get there faster hand flying it, and this ship doesn't have Super Cruise Assist anyway. So we'll be there shortly. Now you can see as we get closer to it, the ship automatically slows itself down. When we get to that magical 7-second figure that I mentioned earlier, we'll throttle to 3/4. Now I can see just from this positioning that the planet we're flying to is on the far side of another planet. See that one below it? Looks like it's not going to select it automatically. But what that means is we're going to get caught in that planet's gravity well and slow down. That planet's gravity well is going to slow us down. So when I see stuff like that, I do this. I fly away and turn on head look here. Just so that we don't have to slow down and then speed up again when we get caught in that planet's gravity well. And the gravity well are the gray rings around the planet. I'll point that out when we start to approach this one, because you'll see that. Yep, JP in the comments is correct, and I did mention that earlier in the video. I will point that out. The 3/4 mark for throttle is always smack dab in the middle of the blue zone. So 20 seconds, it's 26. So the actual time of arrival is probably going to be about a minute and a half from this point. Because once we get to 7, we're going to slow down, and then we'll stay at 7 because we're going slower and slower and slower. Yogi Bear, hello. Welcome to the stream, and welcome to the expedition. We're glad you're here. Saw that 7-second mark pass there, and so I'm down to 3/4 throttle. And we're going to come up on this high metal content world. We'll give it a quick map, then we'll move on to the water world, do the same. And then we'll carry on towards our black hole. And again, we're just watching for that surface scanner in the HUD to go from out of range to too fast. Once it says too fast, I will zero out the throttle, and then we'll be ready to map the planet. And Logan in the comments has also mentioned that you can set a hotkey to 75% for the throttle, and he's correct. You can definitely do that. It's for those of us, for those playing on PC, it's a lot easier for that, just because you have all of the buttons on the keyboard. I tend to be very judicious about what I map to the controller because there are only so many buttons on the controller. You can certainly do that though, and I'll actually, when I get back on course towards the black hole, I will mention a custom keybind I have for the controller that I use for that purpose. So there is definitely value for the custom keybinds. But we are in range of the planet. Here's 6 probes, so we'll use the pattern I mentioned earlier. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll just wait for those to hit. Now I'm pretty confident that's going to be 100%, and if I wanted to showboat, I could turn away and start flying towards the other planet and wait for it to tell me I got the efficiency bonus. But I feel like if I got that cocky and did that on stream, I'd miss and eat my words. But we did get the efficiency bonus, so that is fantastic. We'll go and select our water world now, so we can map that. Whether you come from the outside in or go inside out, in my experience, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Sometimes there is some value in pulling up the orrery view in the system map to plot a course between planets if they're close to one another, rather than flying back and forth across the system multiple times. So if you're going to map more than 2 planets, it can be worth doing that. The orrery view is a little unwieldy in my opinion. I tend not to use it a whole lot. Maybe that's just because I suck at the game, I don't know. But I'm not going to try to demonstrate something that I'm not any good at, so I'm going to bypass that. Maybe we'll get a guest streamer who can work the orrery like it's magic later on in the expedition. But for now, skipping that. Slowed us down a little bit. I can see us speeding up again. And here we are coming up on 7 seconds. There it is. We'll slow down to 2/3. And again, I don't have a hotkey for that because I'm playing with a controller, so I just kind of eyeball it. Now, you technically can wait to 6 seconds to do that, but the closer you cut it, the more likely you are to overshoot. See those gray circles around the planet? That's the gravity well. So if you're going through those on the way to another planet, it's going to slow you down. And the gravity well is the reason for the overshoot. If you miss, the ship can't slow itself down faster than gravity's pulling it in. That's what causes the loop of shame. Why stations in the middle of nowhere that are the size of a football field have enough gravity to do that, don't know, but that's beyond the scope of this video. We'll do a quick map of this planet as well. Now, if anyone visits this system after I turn in the data, it'll say first discovered by as Space Monkey, first mapped by Airman Dan. Okay. Now I mentioned a custom key binding on the controller. Right now, with the default key bindings, there's no way to get the game to select the next system and get back on the route that you've plotted, which can actually be really annoying because then you have to go back to the galaxy map and then reselect the next star, and you can see it's all the way over there. But bleh. No. What I did is I set a custom key binding for select the next system en route, and I'll show that. I'm going to point away from the planet so I don't crash into it. That is in the options menu under controls. I think it's under navigation. maybe that's under targeting. I don't know where it is. I forget where it is. But it's called Select Next System en route. If you do that, what I did is I bounded to L1, R1, and triangle. So if I push those, now I've got, you saw the compass move there, and the system en route is now targeted again. So without going to the galaxy map, I can resume my course. That's a really handy keybind to have for exploration, because you're going to be doing a lot of mapping. It's, again, I forget where it is in the controls, but the one that you're looking for is called Select, or maybe Target Next System on and if you just flip through the control mapping, you'll find it eventually. And you can set any bind you want. Blue star, I think that's an A-type. You saw in the top right there, last main sequence star on the route before fuel supply is exhausted. The reason I said that is because this next system is our black hole, which obviously you can't scoop out of. But just keep an eye out for that message if you're flying through a bunch of brown dwarfs, white dwarfs, neutrons, black holes, L-types, T-types, Y-types, T-Tauris, Wolf Ryads, Herbig AEBs. Those are all unscoopable. So if you're flying through a field of those and you're at a star that is scoopable and you see that message, it's probably a good idea to just take a minute and top off the gas tank. So you can see in the top right, we're preparing to jump to black hole. And just like with the Neutron Star, when you're in the jump/loading screen animation, you can zero out the throttle. The game does tend to drop you out really close to black holes, and you can crash into them. It doesn't hurt to do that. Well, it can hurt a little bit. So it's if you're jumping to a black hole, it's usually a good idea to zero out the throttle, which even though you don't see it on the screen, I have done. So there we are. It's a small one, a very tiny black hole. We're only 5 kilometers away from it. I'll go ahead and select it. A tiny black hole. Let's scan the system while we're in Super Cruise. I'm going to fly around it so you can kind of see the gravitational lensing that it does. This is the only thing in the system is the black hole. Nothing else here to see. But you can see the stars now starting to kind of warp around. And I'll get close. We'll kind of surf this black hole. It seems scary, black holes, but in this game there's actually very little danger. They can heat up your ship a little bit. But other than that, there's nothing to worry about, and you can kind of see this cool effect as I get near the black hole. Oh, I'm going to hit it, and there's that cool view. Oh, I hit it. Okay. So this is how dangerous black holes are. They're not in any way dangerous. I have crashed into the black hole, and I am completely unharmed. You can see that my ship is warming up a little bit. The Diamondback Explorer runs pretty cool, so it's not going to get hurt. If you were in a Type 7, you might start hearing some alarms blaring, but the black hole itself isn't hurting me at all. So one of the things you can do at black holes that are really cool, body exclusion zone hit just means I'm as close as the game's going to let me get to the black hole. It's not going to, you see I'm 41.7 kilometers away. No matter what I do with the throttle, I'm not going to get any closer than that. So you can't actually get eaten by the black hole. If you look carefully at the screen, you can see that the dust specks that kind of indicate motion are sliding around. If I go into camera mode, you can see that I'm basically just sliding around the side of the black hole. But this is what's cool about black holes is you get these distortion effects in the skybox, so they can make for some really cool picture taking. And yes, this is the Beagle Flyer, named after the Delta Flyer from Star Trek Voyager, because it kind of looks like the Delta Flyer. And naturally, it's 74656. Mentioned in the stream the other day, most of my ship IDs are airplanes I've flown. This one, obviously, I've never flown the Delta Flyer, but this is the registry number for USS Voyager, so couldn't not put that on the Beagle Flyer. So, I'll do another stream at some point for how to get cool photos, but let's see if I can just grab one here. Let me see if we do this, and then I will throttle a little bit. add some motion and then point the ship like this, and then re-enable ship controls. Let's see, is R3. So turn this off, re-enable ship controls, and then boost. And that's a quick screenshot, right? So that's black holes. We found the black hole. That's exploration in a nutshell. I'm going to set a course now back to the concern and see if we can find ourselves something landable on the way. And that'll basically cover all the topics for exploration today. And hopefully the landable item we found... Horst has joined me. Horst is with us in system. Stream sniping Horst. Hopefully he doesn't kill me. He won't. He's not that kind of guy. Horst is a good guy. Looks like someone's on the way, too. These are friend markers on the galaxy map. Let's... remember, I had these filters on, so I'll just flip this back to show me all the stars. And we can see that it looks like someone else is working their way here. Who's going to join us today? This is JP. Hello, JP. We see you. We see you, JP. I see you on the way. Now, I mentioned that I'm a fan of blue stars. So I'm going to see if I can take all blue stars back to the carrier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a filter for O, B, and let's just see if that's enough to get a route. I have a relatively large jump range, so it might work. Nope. I'm going to have to turn A's on, I think. Yeah, okay. And now I'm going to apply a filter to route, and what I'm going to do is head back to the Omega concern, which is here. I can see because I got my ship icon. Because I've got the filter on, I can't select the system. Silly me. What I can do to get back in there without changing my filter, I'll just switch over to realistic mode real quick so the system comes back. And then I can go system map, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot directly to the carrier, so I don't have to flip through the nav panel. And I did get a route, so we're going to take all blue stars the whole way back. Or not. Oh, I think I have to have the map on like that, and then apply filter to route. Yeah, there we go. So you have to be in map mode for that filter to work. But I still got a route here. So it's going to be all blue stars on the way back. Why is that relevant? Well, blue stars tend to have metallic worlds, and those worlds in blue stars tend to have biosites. So maybe we'll find us a biological site. JP says he forgot his interdictor. Yeah, try that next time. I'll do my next video in the Corvette. Try to get me then. Let's see. I don't see anyone here. I'm not going to set up a wing here in this video because wing mechanics in this game can sometimes introduce bugs, especially with joining and leaving wings, and then parties overlapping on top of that. We'll save multiplayer and multi-crew and wings for another video. But I'm going to get going here to my next blue star. Let's see if we can find ourselves a bio or a geosite.
Frameshift drive charging.
Somebody in the chat asked, how do you find Lagrange clouds? Those are going to be listed as a notable stellar phenomenon in the nav panel. Now, I haven't actually been looking for those on this video. That was a question from Dave Sunday. Thanks, Dave, for the question. That's a good question. So if one of those existed in the system, where you would see it is under the nav panel, you would see something listed as a notable stellar phenomenon. And you could navigate to it and go to your Lagrange. Now, they're not listed as Lagrange clouds. They're listed as notable stellar phenomenon. The NSPs live in Lagrange clouds. They're rare. I haven't found a whole lot of them. I think that's the only way to find them. I could be wrong. If I am wrong on that, I will follow up. Somebody in the chat is bound to correct me. Nothing in this system, unfortunately. No planets. So, moving on. Seeing if we can find ourselves something to land on. Yes, JP says he likes the Lagrange clouds with lightning. Those are fun. They're visually spectacular. They can also be a little dangerous, speed up your ship. So if I'm NSP hunting, I tend to take one of my ships that has a fighter bay on board. I get out in the fighter, and then I order the ship to hold position and fly into it with the fighter. That way, if the fighter is destroyed, I don't lose the ship or the exploration data that I have on board. And that's definitely something we can get into in another stream, some of the more advanced exploration topics. We got 18 bodies in this system. Let's see if we've got anything landable, and that might have geo or bio sites for us to see. I'll just top off that gas tank, and we'll fly away from the star. Had to check to make sure I wasn't muted. I don't know if anyone saw the hilarious article that somehow made it to the front page of the BBC. Snoop Dogg, he's on Twitch too, and he has been muted for his last 3 streams, and he has not yet noticed, which is hilarious. Alright, we hit 10C, should be far enough away from the star. Normally I wouldn't stop in a system like this, just because no Earth-likes or anything like that. I do see metal-rich bodies, though, so hopefully something will be landable. And hopefully that something will have sights for us. Nothing here. Nothing here. Nothing here. And sometimes this is just how it goes. Sometimes there's just nothing. If there was something, again, the features spot would say, like calculating or something. There'd be a little swirling loading thing there while the game calculates what features are there. But because there's nothing, there's none. So we don't have to stop and look at it. It's going to be an asteroid. I never scan asteroid clusters, but I'll just scan this one so you can see what it looks like. I honestly don't know what the purpose of those is. I don't mine at those. They're not worth it. They show up on the filtered spectral analysis without adding any value. You don't get any money off of them. They're really not worth scanning. We've got our gas giant here. It's going to have some moons. Maybe one of these moons will be landable. Oh, look, some rings. See if we can find some hot spots. So we'll stop at that gas giant. Hopefully it's got a landable body around it with some bio or geological sites to look at. Not seeing anything on that one. Maybe the last one's the charm. Look at that, we've got some geosites. Okay, so this will take a minute to refine the scan. You can back out of this if you like. Geosites won't go anywhere. I'm going to just take a note that this is planet 2A. So let's head for the planet with the rings. Let's check those for hotspots, and then we'll go check out its moon that had the sites. So you can see here also where it says refining scan. That's the same thing as in the full spectrum scanner, and that'll eventually say like geological, biological. There we go. Geological 29. 29 sites here, and volcanism, silicate vapor geysers. So that means just little blobs in the ground with stuff coming out of them, and it's a low grav planet, so we might be able to do some geyser jumping here, which will be a hoot. So let's check for hotspots first. So we'll go here, and then we'll go land on that planet. somebody found a brown dwarf with rings in the chat, and remember when I said I can't read? I have no idea how to pronounce that username, so here we go. Kadimore? Feel free to correct me on how wrong that is and tell me how it's actually pronounced, but he found a brown dwarf with rings. That's relatively common. The brown dwarfs will have rings. Rarer are neutron stars with rings or black holes with rings. I believe black holes with rings exist. I know neutron stars with rings exist, but they're quite rare. Got 7 seconds coming up here, so we'll slow to 3/4 throttle. Just wait for that surface scanner to show that we're coming in too fast. We'll zero out the throttle, pop off a probe at the ring system there, and see if we have any. So, Kydmore? He says I got it right the first time, but I don't know what I said the first time. Cademore? We'll go with that. He's Cademore until he tells me it's something else. On a collision course for the planet, but still out of range. We know it's a collision course because it says impact in the top right. So we will want to slow down eventually. Cademore. Okay, alright. Too fast. There we go. This is a large ring system. Look at that. Hopefully there's some hot spots. I shot a probe, but I don't see it. Oh, there we go. It hit. Okay. And survey says, okay, that's what hotspots look like. You got those yellow, orange, orange-red things that show up here, and then you can see what's actually in them. They show up in the navigation panel. We got monazite, painite, monazite, and serendipite. Painite's worth some money, so if I had a mining ship, I might stop here and collect them. Painite can be laser mined, and that, of course, is going to be for a future stream mining, which we'll get into, of course, for tritium. And you can target them and approach them just like you would any other site. But this isn't a mining vessel, so we're not going to do that. We are going to go land on the place that has geological features, which was not that planet, but this one. So naturally, it's on the wrong side of the ring system, so bear with me for a moment while I navigate around that. And this is my co-pilot, John, who has decided to join us on the stream today as well. And he says hello. There's the moon, 7 seconds. Hello. He's my trusty companion for these exploration journeys. And we got 4 probes, so that one's easy. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, and the probe. You could probably could have gotten away with 3 probes on this one, but there is efficient target is 4, so I spent 4. And now when I get the 100% mapping, the planet will actually show, just like with the hotspots on the planet, the probes will tell me where all the geological signals are that I can go land at. So I'm going to try to find one that's in daylight, just so we can see it. So I'm going to get a little closer to the planet, because they will also show up on the planet as things I can lock onto. See if we can get one on the top. So for this daylight with a good view of the rings, that one should do it. And we'll come in, slow down to the appropriate speed. And here we go. I don't know what that... Oh, Kydmore. Okay. It's Kydmore. All right. Kydmore. I will try to remember that. Kydmore. That was really the first one that I said was Kydmore? Okay. I guess I should trust my instinct more. the glide. This was a low-gravity planet, so I'm not too worried about my approach speed. But if you were worried about your approach speed, you might want to put some pips into systems. Just tap that over that way. That makes your shields as strong as they can be. But again, I'm not worried something to go for maximal engine performance. There we go. Glide complete. We'll come in on this geosite here and see what we get. I doubt they're going to be stuff that we can launch the SRVs off of, but if they are, that will certainly be a cool ending bit to this stream here today. Yeah, these are probably fumaroles. Yeah, they are. That's okay. They're still cool. We'll get a nice view on the campfires, basically. Put the landing gear down. Planet is... Oh, we can't see the rings from here. Wasn't the best landing site. Oh well. But we'll still get a picture. So we got our alignment is okay here. We'll just sit down. And there we are. I'm pretty sure this ship... Yeah, I have an SRV in here. So, for sites like this, you can get out on the ground and drive around and get yourself some data for scanning the composition of the whatever it is. In this case, I'm pretty sure it's a fumarole. So we'll just get far enough away from the ship to have the turret pop out. And there it is. Have a look at that one. So we'll pop up into the turret view and data link scan that. There we go. I got a codex discovery. It's a silicate magma lava spout. Okay. And if you want to read about that, of course, you can open the codex and it'll tell you all about it. Not particularly interesting in this particular case. There's really nothing we can do with it. But they do make for cool pictures. At some point, I will find some geysers, which are, they basically look like little baby volcanoes. And you can actually drive the SRV over them and get launched 1,000,000 kilometers into the air. In this case, though, we're not going to have any such luck with that. But we can get a cool screenshot of our stream today, the end of our stream today. There we go. I could spend quite a while toying with it, but yeah, it's a pretty good one. So we found it. We found some geological sites. We found a black hole and ended it off right here next to the campfire. Pretty cool. Oh, I'm too close to it. I'm actually cooking the SRV. Okay, let's get away from that. Last but not least, while we're here, you can see these white dots on the radar. If you're looking for materials, you can target them. In this case, the target is the fumarole. Switch over to combat mode, get some pips in weapons there, and just blast away. And eventually, something will pop out. Now, this is a pieces cobble. I'm not going to get any valuable drop from that. Carbon. Pick it up anyway because I knocked it off. But if you need materials, these are useful for synthesis. So if you're in your SRV and it runs out of fuel or it's damaged, or if you're in your ship and you need jumponium, like we talked about earlier, it's something you can synthesize with those materials that you pull off from this stuff. So I could restock my ammo, repair, refuel. And then if I was in the ship and wanted that jumponium, it would be this FSD injection. Of course, because I'm in the SRV, I can't do that. So that is that. Pull out my cargo scoop here. We'll get back in the Eagle Fire. I wonder if I can get on top of it. Let's see if I can get a final picture. I'm using the SRV jump jets. Ah, no, I missed. We'll pretend I did that on purpose and just landed right at the boarding point. Right there. Sometimes it's fun to SRV boost on top of the ship and get a picture, but there's no one else here to see it, so we'll get back on board. That covers all the topics I wanted to go through today. We went over using the galaxy map, going through map mode. Filtering the stars for KGB foam, the mnemonic fill my big old kettle and go. Applying the filter to your route, which we just did to get here. Went through the other star types, the Urbig AEBEs, the Wolf Riots, the non-sequence stars, the carbon stars, how to find a giant. Just showed you the codex. Also went through realistic mode, showing how you can view stars as they appear in the galaxy. Looked at a black hole from that perspective. Went over how to interpret the system names, what the letters mean, letters and numbers in the system names. Went over the letters and numbers in the star names. I didn't do such a great job of that, but if you look at the Elite Wikipedia, they cover that in detail for how to read the star name, type, luminosity, spectral class. So if you're actually looking for unique star types, it's kind of handy to have that Wikipedia article up, just a quick reference. But you'll know what you're looking for and be able to pick it out eventually. If you're looking for like a blue star, look for a 2 or a 3A on the spectral or luminosity class. Went through plotting long-range courses, covered economy versus the fastest mode, looked at dotted versus dashed lines on the course plotter. We went through using the jet cone boost on the plotter versus the FSD boost, or jumbonium as it's called. We scanned some stellar bodies with a full spectrum scanner. We scanned some specific planets with a detailed surface scanner. We did locate ourselves a geological signal, landed on it. We located some mining hotspots. We identified landable bodies in the system map with that blue arc around them. Covered system map bookmarks versus galaxy map bookmarks, and how it can be handy to have carriers bookmarked within the system map, and how plotting directly to things within the system map can save you a little time when you arrive. We went over what happens when you run the Discovery scanner versus what happens when you full spectrum scan in terms of the value of what you turn in. And we went to a black hole. So that covers basically all of the beginner exploration, deep space exploration and travel basics. It just kind of scratches the surface of what's out there to find. We might have some more in-depth sessions in future streams, but I'm going to set course now back for the carrier. If there's any questions or anything that you'd like me to cover real quick, then I'd be happy to do so on the way back to the carrier. In any case, feel free to stick around in the stream. I've only got 4 jumps back to the carrier. We'll see how much this data I got is worth. Probably not a whole lot, but I will get my name on the first map for these planets that were not mapped. So we'll go ahead and take off now, get back on course for the carrier, and finish the stream, get on the mass lock, and get on the way. Let's see if I can hit that perfect 90. Nope, I cannot. Nope, it's obscured, so we'll do the escape vector.
4, 3, 2, 1.
And we'll wait for the planet to fall out from underneath us, and we'll get on the way. So I'll put it on top of me. Hey, quite welcome, Dave. Alright, should be able to get going now. Yep, there it is. threshold, so I'm going to take a quick stop here and see if there's anything worth looking at. I will laugh if I find an undiscovered system. Like I said, we're on the Colonia Connection Highway, so almost certainly not, but yeah, I'm just going to have a peek anyway. Nope, nothing. This might be a water giant, if you're looking for gas giants that are special. Oh, well, there it is. We'll find out. It's got rings. Nope, it's a gas giant with water-based life. I know that from experience, just because it's close to where water worlds are. So if you see a water giant, it'll be in this area, and it will often, not always, have water-based life. But I'm not going to stop and scan this.
Frameshift drive charging.
Not be surprised if one of these has a biological signal on it. But since the systems are already discovered, I'm not gonna scan them all, unless there's an Earth-like in the system. Nope.
Frameshift drive charging.
We got a raid happening with just a couple minutes left in the stream. Welcome Jesse Evans and crew. This has been a introductory exploration tutorial for Elite Dangerous. Covered a whole bunch of stuff using the galaxy map, finding stuff, finding geosites, finding hotspots, finding a black hole. Unfortunately, we are kind of coming up on the end of the stream here. I'm just scanning systems on the way back, and not finding anything here worth stopping for, so we'll continue on. I think this is our final destination here. We're going to be landing on the IPX Omega Concern. But welcome all. This will be saved as a video on demand for anyone who wants to go through and look at the content that we had for all this exploration. Map mode, star types, fuel stars, other star types, realistic mode, how to interpret system and star names, plotting long-range courses, economy versus fastest mode, the various line types on a course map, how to do a neutron boost, how to plot a neutron boost, how to use the FSS, how to use the DSS, locating geosites, locating mining hotspots, and exploring a black hole. The only thing I didn't get was a high G landing, but we can save that for a future stream. Here we are coming up on our home away from home, the IPX Omega Concern now. This is going to be where the stream concludes when I land. We'll see how much I got for that little trip to Rohini and back, and the black hole, of course. Hello, Spork. Welcome to the stream. I took the Beagle Flyer today, Spork, our trusty old green DBX from the Distant Worlds expedition. Those on stream, if you look in the chat, you'll see a comment from Fantastic Sport. She also flies a green DBX, and often, but not always, confused mine with hers whenever we were on the surface of planets, and I, of course, did the same. Tried to board the wrong ship. So here we are coming back towards the IPX Omega Concern, our home away from home. Gotta go dock. And now you'll see, how do you know you're in a stream with a pilot? Well, he'll tell you. I tend to fly these like I fly real airplanes. I'm going to come across the top of another landing pad, and the Omega Concern is going to threaten to blast me out of the sky for loitering. But it is what it is. Yeah, there's a loitering. Shut up. And we're home. And of course, one thing I didn't mention was Neutron Stars do damage your frameshift drive. So those Neutron jumps are the reason that I have a repair bill here. Each Neutron jump will take about 1% off of the frameshift drive. And after it gets below 80, it'll start to malfunction when you try to jump. That's not dangerous, it just is annoying because it takes longer to reboot once that happens. The frameshift drive itself will actually function all the way down to 0%, but once it hits 0%, you die. So don't do that. If you are away from a carrier, you can use your auto field maintenance unit to repair the frameshift drive. What? I don't know why it's showing me a synthesis there. Bugs, yay. There we go. Oh, okay, I just need to learn how to read. Remember where I said I don't know how to read, and I'm not working on that? Yeah, okay. The repair button was right there. So if you hit repair, it will use your auto field maintenance unit to repair the frameshift drive. Doing that does take it offline, so you don't want to do that while you're in flight. If you're in Super Cruise, you'll crash to normal space when you do that, which is not great. It's not a pleasant experience, especially if you're near a star. You can start to overheat, or if you're near a white dwarf or a neutron, you can actually take critical, catastrophic damage. So my AFMU is supposed to be repairing this. It doesn't look like it's doing it. It's definitely not doing it. Maybe it has to do with the fact that I'm it's on the carrier right now. But yeah, we'll just let the carrier repair it. I'm going to turn this back on because the reboot's not, or the repair is not happening. There we go. So, if you don't have an AFMU on this expedition, it's probably okay. You can always repair at the carrier. Both carriers will let you repair. If you're going to be spending a lot of time out far away from the carriers and you have the module space, an AFMU might be handy. They are not for sale on the carriers, so if you need one, make sure you grab one while we're in Colonia, because once we leave Colonia, unless you've got one in storage that you can ship to yourself, you won't be able to get one. So I'm just going to let the carrier repair me, and then it looks like we've got a guest on the stream. Who might that be? That's either a Horst or a JP. I think that's a Horst, just based on the ship. But everyone wave to Horst. Hello. We'll turn on the lights. Say hi. Thank you for joining the stream. Everyone that's in the stream, thank you for joining at the last minute here. That party that just came in. These are announced in the Wild Wild West Expedition Discord. So for the party that joined, if you're interested in participating in this expedition, we are starting from Colonia next weekend. It's going to be an 80,000 light year expedition, 87,000 light years or so, going from Colonia out to the DSSA Hope Dempsey, which is the farthest west carrier in the galaxy. And from there, we're going to head south down the galactic arms back to V1357 Cygni for a total distance of 87 some odd thousand light years. I'll be stopping at black holes, neutron stars, gas giants, all sorts of stuff along the way. If you head to EDSM, the Discord link for our expedition is up in there. Again, it's called the Wild Wild West, and we are welcoming anyone to join. So anyone from that party that joined the stream at the last minute here, if you want to learn more, feel free to join the expedition on EDSM. Feel free to join our Discord. Feel free to start this stream over from the beginning for the rest of it, for all the subjects that I went through there. We welcome everyone of all skill levels, all platforms, Xbox, PS, and PC. We've got people from every background in the expedition, so definitely encourage you, if you are interested in that long expedition, to join. This carrier I'm on right now is en route to Colonia. It's however far Rohini is away from the bubble, that's how far this carrier is. It's going to leave in about 2 hours and resume course for Colonia. If you can get to it, feel free to dock on board. It's open to all. It'll get you the rest of the way to Colonia for the starting point. The starting point is Colonia, and our start date is next weekend, Saturday the 28th. From there, we'll set off to our first waypoint, which is the World of Death, as is listed in EDSM. So again, welcome. Thank you everyone who joined the stream, even if you did join at the last tail end of it there. Again, if you are new to exploration, new to deep space, new to expeditions, definitely feel free to rewind and start from the beginning to catch what you missed. This will be saved as a video on demand, and this will also, I don't have a YouTube channel up for the expedition yet, but I'm going to be setting one up, and these streams will all be saved there for your future reference and convenience. So that's going to do it. I didn't sell the data, so let's just see before I close out the stream what that data was worth today. Very curious. Didn't get a whole lot. I'm guessing 5 million. Okay, well, I got multiple pages. I'm guessing maybe a total of 10. I got 5 million credits from that first page. We'll sell that, and this is another 1 million credits for the next page. And that is after the 25% cut that the carrier takes. Which means if you sell these at a station, you'll get about 25% more. Bear in mind that if you have a crew member on board, the crew member will get a cut of that as well, even if they are not active. 100,000 there. Now, I didn't get any first discoveries. I wasn't expecting to get any first discoveries, but if you do, when you sell the data, a little window will pop up here announcing what your first discoveries were. But I didn't get any this time, but that's okay. Wasn't expecting to. So that is it for the stream today. Thank you again for everyone that joined us in the stream, in the comments, in the game. We realize you have a choice when it comes to your ferry services from the bubble to Colonia, and we're glad you've chosen interplanetary explorations. Whether Colonia is your final destination or you'll be continuing on with us through the black, welcome you aboard, and thank you for choosing IBX. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you starside.